below. We got mummies, y'all. We got mummies. We got bodies, guys. We got non-human bodies. This is amazing. And this was a much better press event than the last one done in LA. This one was concise, it was punchy, it was to the point. They got right to the anomalous features of the beings, and they went through them at a lightning speed. It was very well done. It was very well done. And yeah, we got lots of really good information. But the bombshell was this one, was Montserrat. And this appears to be the being that was said to be missing. Yeah, there's Sebastian, and it looks like Sebastian's eyelashes might actually be the sutures closing the eyes, which was very interesting. But then we get to Montserrat, and Montserrat appears to be the being that was said to be missing. It's got the gold plate in the skull. She is pregnant. She has the elongated head. So I'm assuming this is the same being that was said to be missing for 3 months. They said during the press event they had only gotten her a few days ago. So I'm wondering if she had been held for ransom or something like that and has only just now been, ransomed and recovered. But we don't have any details on that, or at least I don't. If you've seen that, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, okay, so an amazing specimen overall. But what is most amazing about this specimen is the fetus that is inside Montserrat. And the fetus is being named Raphael. And this is truly remarkable and a game changer in terms of our understanding of the mummies. Now, I know that's, kind of grisly to look at, but just think about what we're looking at here. We are looking at what would have been a live birth by one of the beings. So far, all we've seen, well, I mean, I don't want to say all we've seen, but so far what we've seen from the beings has been eggs. Now, the pregnant females have been egg-laying beings. But Montserrat, being a much larger specimen, maybe hybridized more with mammals, primates, humans, and apparently was going to deliver a live birth. Unfortunately, tragically, she died, and Raphael with her. But she would have delivered a live birth. And that is hugely significant and shows there are different biological paradigms for these beings. Even though they're all or almost all tridactyl beings, I think there was one recovered in Mexico that had 4 fingers, but predominantly they're tridactyl beings, and they have a similar template in that sense. But they are distinct from each other. There's distinct subspecies, and the ones that are more human-sized, like Maria and Montserrat, seem to have more human or primate or whatever DNA in them. They seem to be the true hybrids, and maybe the little guys are the true aliens, or at least very close to being true aliens. And but yeah, then there's the various subspecies and hybrid species. And Montserrat appears to be very different from Maria, even though they're of roughly similar size, human-sized beings. Would Maria have also delivered a live birth if she had been pregnant? It's entirely possible. We just don't know at this point. But just an amazing discovery, an amazing specimen. I'm so glad that Montserrat has been recovered, if that's what would happen. And we're still kind of in the fog of war on all of that, what really went down with Montserrat, if that was the missing specimen. And she really looks like it's the missing specimen with the gold plate, implant right there. She also has other implants. Just a remarkable specimen. And there's lots of detail on other mummies as well. They're talking about Maria and others. But one of the most remarkable things that happened during this press event was that the Peruvian authorities actually took the microphone away from Joyce Mantilla and tried to take over the Nazca mummy press conference from reading from Incredible History. Yeah, but that is what happened. That is what happened.
Buenos días, disculpen la interrupción. Estamos haciendo una acción preventiva denominada con el Ministerio de Cultura.
Yeah, anyway, the Ministry of Culture stepped in and tried to seize control of the press event. And that's this lady right here. So, I mean, there is overt interference in this investigation. They are spreading disinformation, seizing obvious dolls that the creator says are dolls and trying to suggest that those are the actual mummies when those were clearly not the mummies. Those were dolls. So they're spreading disinformation about the mummies. There are rumors that they have been seizing real specimens and hiding real evidence. So I don't know if that's true or not, but at this point it wouldn't surprise me. And now we have somebody from the Ministry of Culture actually stepping in and taking the microphone away from Joyce Mantilla. This is just crazy, guys. This is crazy, this overt level of obfuscation that we are getting in Peru. The implications are not good. Okay, I had to put in this update. This is crazy. Jaime Maussan says the Ministry of Culture was there not just to derail the event by seizing the microphone, but they were actually trying to seize the bodies, guys. Okay, check this out.
So right now, they're here to confiscate the actual bodies that are here on the property right now?
Yes, but they are not here. Okay. They are not here. We were not so stupid to bring them here.
Did you expect this to happen today? Did you have a feeling they might show up?
We thought that could be possible. Could be possible. We didn't think that this was going to happen. I didn't think they were so stupid to do this, because now the attention is in this investigation.
Right.
What they wanted to do is now going to be the opposite. Now the people is going to want to know why is so much behind this, why the police is here. If this is not important, why are they here? Okay?
You tell them, Jaime. You tell them. So there you go. The Ministry of Culture actively trying to confiscate the bodies themselves. That is alarming. That is scary. It's interesting that Jaime and the others are having to have strategy involved in unveiling these bodies. They can't actually bring the bodies to these events. They're not so stupid, Jaime says, because if they did, they would be confiscated. That's terrifying if that's what's really going on. And how are we ever going to get UFO disclosure or alien disclosure if the aliens are being confiscated? This is ridiculous. I would like more confirmation on this and corroboration that that's what happened. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. Of course, I'm sure the Ministry of Culture of Peru would say these are cultural artifacts, and they must be taken and preserved for that reason, which is a lame excuse, guys. That's such a lame excuse. They're not cultural artifacts. They are alien bodies. Unless your culture is alien, I don't think it qualifies. But let me know what you think. And it was still a remarkable press event. So yeah, I encourage everybody to go watch it. There's a lot of details about the individual specimens. There's more about Raphael, the fetus inside Montserrat, and you get details on all the on the various beings that we have. And so, and also talking about the disinformation from the Ministry of Culture in Peru, which is just so sad. But I guess it's not surprising because the UFO cover-up has existed forever, and apparently it exists in Peru as well. What are they motivated by? Are they motivated by covering up the truth of the alien presence on Earth? If they are aliens, I mean, they could be crypto-terrestrials or something like that. They could have evolved independently. But if they did that, That is such a huge gap in the fossil record. And then you have distinct subspecies and anomalies, like them having, being tridactyl but giving live births, even though they're more reptilian. It doesn't really make sense, I don't think, especially with a gap in the fossil record, for them to have evolved on their own on this planet. It seems to me like they almost have to have been created beings, hybrids, and maybe the little guys were the actual aliens. We just don't know at this point. That's why we need more research without it being covered up and suppressed and having microphones literally taken away from the researchers. It's insane, guys. It's insane what's going on. But there is awesome dynamite research that is being done on these specimens. UFO disclosure has happened, guys. We have had UFO disclosure through the mummies. Through the mummies, guys. We've got bodies, y'all. We've got bodies. So far, no giants. We haven't had any giants put on display yet. Now, I'm still waiting for the giants. I'm not expecting any giants in the near future, but hey, they have teased the giants. They have said they are there. We have seen the hands of the giants. We have seen a reproduction or two of the skulls of the giants. We have been told that one of these skulls, or heads, has been sold to somebody in Hollywood. Will that individual ever come forward with that skull and allow it to be studied by science? Well, time will tell. I'm not super optimistic. But all in all, a great press event, very professional, much better than the one done in LA. Unfortunately, you have the Ministry of Culture trying to, cover this stuff up and do what they do. I don't know what they're motivated by, whether it's, a desire to cover up the truth of aliens, just because they're part of the UFO cover-up, or if they are motivated, simply by religious motivations. This is a religious country, and this goes against that, so, according to them, and so it must be covered up. Is that the motivation? It doesn't really matter at this point. The point is that they are covering it up, and we know they're covering it up, and they're doing it very blatantly. How deep does the cover-up go? Are they actually seizing bodies and hiding them away along with possibly other artifacts? I would love some information on that, but I encourage you all to go watch this amazing press event with lots of information about the study that has been done on these bodies. We've got bodies, y'all. We've got non-human bodies. This is UFO disclosure. This is awesome.
He aquí el cuerpo de Montserrat, un espécimen de aproximadamente 1,60 metros, de características tridáctilas tanto en pies como en manos. En los pies podemos observar incluso la presencia de las uñas. En el abdomen de Montserrat logramos determinar que se encuentra perfectamente conservado un espécimen en etapa fetal. Este espécimen en etapa fetal era de gran relevancia poder encontrar en sus manos la tridactilia. En un momento más podremos observar esta imagen tridáctila y trataré de hacerles ver con claridad dónde se encuentra tanto el feto, su ubicación y sus características particulares. De Montserrat podemos observar que es muy cercana a lo que conocemos como un ser humano. Sin embargo, guarda características únicas que la hacen diferente, distinta y perteneciente a una especie de tridactilia. Aquí tenemos en su abdomen, cargado del lado izquierdo, una estructura fetal a nivel de la pelvis, en la cual podemos observar en la parte superior un cráneo, en la parte posterior una columna vertebral de la cual emergen costillas, en la parte inferior unas extremidades. A la altura del cráneo por enfrente de este encontramos extendido en una posición dirigida hacia la cabeza el brazo izquierdo. En estas imágenes de reconstrucción tridimensional de la tomografía se ve claramente, y pasaré a señalarla, la cabeza y la columna vertebral. Montserrat ha sido denominada como la prueba definitiva. Como parte de los estudios se hicieron por primera vez el ingreso de un endoscopio a la cavidad abdominal del cuerpo de Montserrat. Gracias. Con este endoscopio podemos ver que hay huesos diminutos o tejido muscular roto en el interior de la cavidad abdominal, y en la parte correspondiente a la cresta ilíaca, que es la cadera del cuerpo de Montserrat, podemos observar que se encuentra adosada un material fetal desecado que obviamente a simple vista dificulta su identificación directa, pero que con ayuda de los rayos X, la tomografía computarizada y la reconstrucción tridimensional de esta, puede detallarse con exactitud la presencia de un cuerpo fetal de aproximadamente 12 centímetros de largo. Esto, si fuera humano, sería coincidente a una gestación aproximada de 12 semanas. Estamos hablando de un producto fetal de aproximadamente 4 meses de gestación, si fuera de condiciones humanas. Ok, esta imagen, en cuanto termine de girar, si la pueden congelar, y es la explicación que he estado esperando. Ahí. En la parte superior está la base del cráneo. Toda esta es la espina dorsal. Podemos ver los cuerpos vertebrales uno por uno. Se puede ver los brazos y se pueden ver las extremidades inferiores. De los brazos quiero resaltar la presencia de lo que sería correspondiente al húmero, lo que sería correspondiente al antebrazo con su radio y cúbito, y por último, aquí a la altura de lo que correspondería a la muñeca o huesos del carpo, la salida o determinación tridáctila, haciendo una forma de envoltura. Aquí el origen del primer dedo en forma de gancho, el origen del segundo dedo también en forma de gancho, y el origen del tercer dedo en forma de gancho. Espero que la imagen pueda ser lo más clara para su entendimiento. Lo repito, este es el cráneo, la base del cráneo, la columna vertebral completa, con la presencia de los cuerpos vertebrales que pueden ser claramente vistos, brazos, extremidades inferiores, y del brazo el húmero o el correspondiente al húmero, el antebrazo, radio y cúbito o correspondientes a los mismos, la articulación de la muñeca o carpo y la salida de los 3 dedos en forma de gancho, el primero, el segundo y el tercero. Lo recalco y es relevante porque, siendo una estructura anatómica esquelética de un espécimen de aproximadamente 12 centímetros de longitud, es imposible de replicar, falsificar, alterar, mutilar y hacer pasar por falso. Esto es 100% original, biológico, orgánico, armónico y evidente e irrefutable. Por lo tanto, y por último, es importante señalar la relevancia y la necesidad de la conservación y preservación de estos cuerpos humanoides tridáctilos, que desde el momento de su extracción en el lugar del hallazgo han iniciado un proceso de degradación, mismo que podría llevarlas a su desaparición total. Así como lo imperioso que es ampliar y continuar sus estudios y análisis al más alto nivel académico y científico, debido a que estamos ante la oportunidad de aceptar la existencia de cuerpos humanoides tridáctilos que deben aceptarse como una cadena evolutiva paralela o alterna a lo conocido y descrito por este momento en la ciencia actual. Como lo he repetido en múltiples ocasiones en mis conclusiones, estos cuerpos son humanoides, similares, entre ellos, tridáctilos, que merecen una rama taxonómica en el árbol evolutivo de Darwin, de los cuales no se ha determinado ni su predecesor o ascendencia, ni tampoco su descendencia, pero que sobre todo no se ha encontrado su filogenia evolutiva. Ahora, aquí en Perú, tenemos cuerpos en diferentes etapas o estadios, desde la infantil con Santiago, juvenil con Sebastián, adulta con María, y ahora con el hallazgo de Montserrat en un estado de gestación con un cuerpo en un estadio fetal en desarrollo. Esto nos permite establecer las similitudes físicas entre ellos, haciéndolos pertenecer a una familia de características físicas o fenotípicas similares, resaltando la tridactilia. Entre ellos, como dato común e irrefutable, lo cual puede llegar a determinar la clasificación como una especie alterna o distinta a la humana. Por tanto, nuevamente hago la invitación al reconocimiento de este hallazgo y la necesidad de continuar con los análisis necesarios. Dejen de negar o de denostar. Recuerden que los ojos no ven lo que el cerebro no conoce. Por favor, permitan que el conocimiento sea la luz y la guía para que estos cuerpos humanoides tridáctilos, que merecen ser reconocidos como tales, salgan a la luz y al conocimiento del mundo y la humanidad. Trabajemos juntos en el progreso de la investigación de este caso tan relevante que puede ser el paradigma último o respuesta en una de las preguntas existenciales de la humanidad. Sean bienvenidos todos aquellos interesados en conocer y aportar más en la investigación de estos cuerpos humanoides tridáctilos. Con Dios y por la patria, muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes.
Señor José Mantilla, por favor, a él le brindamos un aplauso, por favor. Muchas gracias.
We're asking for an applause for Mr. Mantilla. Thank you very much. Thank you, Enrique. Thank you to all those colleagues here that are present here. And this time I want to speak more directly to my colleagues, the reporters, because it is difficult to assume such a challenge of informing about this subject, in which most of my colleagues don't want to face. I understand that our political culture and miseries always produce more expectations than the great and transcendental issues of life and for our country. However, there have been voices of very courageous colleagues that, in spite of them not being, of this not being a political subject matter, some have given some space to this issue, and for which I'm very thankful as well, because of showing a very important finding, not just for the region of Peru, in Ica and Peru, but also for the world. It's something very transcendental and important. And the fact that these tridactyl bodies from Nazca have been known in different languages of the world, in different parts of the world, all places of the world. It is a decision that the researchers have made, the scientific researchers have made this decision, and also the support that we have had from Incari Institute, Tercer Milenio TV, and others that have helped. And there are more researchers now adding their research to this fact, to this work. According to their experiences and capacities and professional capacities, they confirm that this finding is extraordinary. As a reporter, I have recently had access to Well, 3 bodies, 2 were known in the previous press conference in Los Angeles. They are tridactyl beings. Unquestionably, they do not have mutilations in the hands or feet. The heads are elongated, has not been modified to achieve that shape. And also they have oblique type of eyes that cannot be compared with any of that of a human. Beyond this, also these bodies have metallic implants on their skin. How were they able to connect something biological, the skin with metal? We do not know. There's much to study, but the most recent body we have been able to recuperate a few days ago, but unfortunately I have to maintain the source under reserve. Then it has allowed these researchers and my colleague Jaime Maussan and the experts, forensic experts helping us now to discover some incredible things. This is why we are calling this press conference the definitive proof, because after this, all that would be required is for one of them to come alive and start walking. It took a few hours to process what we have found in this body. It is a large body. They are not the small dolls with which the Ministry of Culture tried to lie about, falsify this issue. But this is not a spectacular body. According to professionals that have looked at this. So we want to investigate and place this information in the public eye as independence. This has not fallen into the hands of any government. This is why it's so special. Maybe evidence like this was lost before because it fell into the hands of governments. And we have evidence now that we humans have lived together with beings from other species. We may be speaking about 6 or 7 different species. So, my dear colleagues, reporters, please, let's not be so close-minded to bring before the press, to bring before the Parliament of Mexico something that could be false, if they can be researched in person, if they can be ausculted, if they can be. We have the physical, tangible evidence, and this is what bothers many. However, we are thankful for the presence of the Dean of Anthropologists, of the School of Anthropologists of Peru. He is right here with us. An applause, please. I'm very happy for him to be here. I wish also the representatives of the School of Archaeology, who had always been invited, they should also be here, but they have not come. Or what they have tried to do is to try to confiscate the bodies. They have tried to confiscate the bodies. However, there has been perseverance on the part of the University of Ica professors that have been researching this. So do not allow yourself to be surprised. Do not allow yourself to be surprised. I think that right now personnel from the Ministry of Culture and the Public Ministry are arriving here. Personnel from the Ministry of Culture and the Public Ministry is arriving here. This is a historical moment for the Peruvian society. We want something truly important to. We have the important visit right now of authorities. They're coming into this conference. We would please come to the podium. We would like to know what you are. What do you need? Excuse us for our interruption. We are producing a preventive, unopined. with the Ministry of Culture regarding the cultural patrimony and regarding the exhibition of the mummies that have been shown in public networks. You know that we must protect the public patrimony, and we would like to know who is the person responsible of this and who's taking custody of this alleged national patrimony right now. Your reporters, I will start a formal procedure. The bodies will be presented in the video. Joyce Mantilla says we cannot.
Are we having an interruption here from the government?
Accompanying you as the representative of the Ministry and Public Ministry. It is just a representation of the custody that will be necessary. A custody according to our rules and norms and laws. And I will cede the microphone to the representative who is right here of the Ministry of Culture. Yes, right now we want to speak with the person in charge.
Are they interrupting this meeting?
Position.
Is that what's happening here?
I'm an attorney of the Ministry of Culture. We have already informed you that through the that allegedly there's an alleged national patrimony in this. And Joyce Mantilla says you have not been willing to research these bodies.
This is insane. So we're getting interrupted by the Ministry of Culture here, apparently, and their legal team.
Or official letter, demand, official news, official notification.
Yeah, they need some sort of
If you
warrant or
want,
something.
you can stay with us to see if
you
can come to understand what we are dealing with here.
And then who do we have here?
Please,
Ministry of Culture. They're all rocking the adventure vests.
These extraordinary specimens that we have.
We're adventurers. You can tell by our vests. Wow.
It's like they have a different agenda, but they should really make an exception.
Oh my God! I am having flashbacks of.
I'm
having flashbacks of running the anthropology
finally, after so many
society.
years, the
This is
Ministry
great.
of Culture is doing what it was
I'm going to mute for a little bit.
do. Finally, they are taking care of the patrimony. It is very good to know.
It's good that they're doing something. He's saying that's funny. Finally,
preoccupied with the patrimony.
I'm going to try not to talk.
There are many places that are abandoned and in ruins all over Peru. Cuelap, famous archaeological site, fell, and they are. Why, if they're preoccupied with the pterodactyl bodies from Nazca, why haven't they gone to the University of Ica and add their scientists to the scientists over there and do the research together? So we will continue probably allowing the Ministry of Culture right now to do their diligence, legal diligence. Enrique Rodriguez is saying that we will wait for a few minutes so that the public ministry and the Ministry of Culture people continue with their diligence, and after that we will continue with our conference. We invite, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jaime Maussan in order to continue with this international press conference.
All right, so Joyce is passing the baton to Maussan.
Bodies of Nazca and Palpa. We invite gentlemen from the press to continue. We invite them to continue with this conference. We are inviting Mr. Jaime Maussan, well-known reporters from Mexico that has more than 50 years of experience as a researcher, investigative researcher. He 3 times has been national awarded in Mexico and also awarded in the capital of Washington, D.C. That's a report. And he also obtained United Nations awarded and also the Onda award in Spain. And currently he is the director of Tercer Milenio Channel 360, Tercer Milenio 360 channel in the city of Mexico. With you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Maussan, well, due to this interruption, we will have to stop this press conference for a few minutes, and we will continue a little bit later once the authorities have accomplished their the task they came here to do, their orders, and after that we will continue with this investigation. I hope that within a few minutes we will continue. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear reporters, we will.
Is this a trip or what?
A few minutes. So
it's like no governments are involved. And cue the Peruvian government. They don't seem very professional to me, though. I don't like people that just like interrupt things, you know, to show up during scheduled events.
In the meantime, we will not cut the transmission. We will continue with this transmission because it is a private transmission.
Yeah, it's just a private event here.
We are not in a museum mounting a farce. We are not. We do not lie the public with dolls. We do not lie the public with dolls. We're just presenting this public. This is a private conference, press conference for the public that has been interrupted in order to confiscate perhaps some of the bodies of Nazca. I'm happy that at least they came here in order to learn about this body.
He's going to keep saying that, huh?
Precursores Salon in the Sheraton Hotel in Lima, Peru. We are transmitting live. And
I'm live from
they have arrived with
South Florida. Oh, they got the cops too? Lots of people in cool adventure vests, so they need business because they got the vests.
We would irresponsibly, they thought that we would irresponsibly show some of the bodies here in public. Our only purpose is to inform. This is a live transmission that has come out of
this is crazy.
Anything that was previewed, everything that was expected before. It's an unexpected situation.
Yeah.
It is an arbitrary
unexpected, but almost expected the way people are.
To speak about it clearly. They could have waited until the end of the conference, but have interrupted in the middle of the event, perhaps to try to sabotage or boycott the event. But we are not going to cut this live transmission.
Yeah, you are on the air, lady. So whatever madness you're saying.
Taking place in this room.
They create a little trap for him. Thought they were going to catch some buddies
We are
there.
also here accompanied by one of the researchers of these bodies, these pterodactyl bodies. So while they are writing their legal papers, we have here.
I think this is one of the guys who doesn't get a lot of respect. One of the professionals, mind you.
Member of the Academy of Sciences of New York.
He's a
and
plastic surgeon. Oh well, forensic science. There you go.
It is.
Let's listen to him instead of me.
Think that in this government, the 17th Minister of Culture nominated, the 17th Minister of Culture nominated in a few years, instead of supporting the growth of knowledge of all Peruvians, and because this is knowledge for the good of the world, it's not, this is a good for the world. This is patrimony of the world.
Yeah, Peru can't claim these bodies, I'm going to say.
Would be not to restrict.
They just happened to be there at that time.
The job of the minister would be to
this is a
share
world
information.
heritage.
We have had This information should transcend. At this moment, the representatives from the Ministry of Culture and the Public Ministry and the police are leaving. This is a moment for history, sad, pathetic, but I'm sorry to say, sorry to tell, but they go with the tail under their legs. Good for that. Good for that.
I'm
They thought
going
that we
away
were going to bring mummies here.
to Peru.
That
Psych. I guess they're in the
I'm
university.
happy that you are paying attention to our social networks so that you find out. This is something that cannot be stopped. What happens is that they know that they have failed, they have made a mistake year after year. In every intervention that they made like this was the wrong move, again and again. And this is the reason why there is an international demand on this. Now, let's not generalize, because there are also good workers, good employees in the Ministry of Culture, but those that come are probably the inept ones, those that follow the orders and tell them what to do. Just like bribes cannot be accepted, I think that there's somebody from above telling them to do these things. That's my suspicion. I'm here with the main representative of the anthropological research in Peru, and they probably are afraid because they do not know how the demand, the lawsuit that is coming, they will not know how to respond, probably because what they have done is taken pictures across a window screen. But let's continue with our presentation. I'm giving the microphone to Enrique. This top point, we are facing a small interruption for a few minutes. I'm sorry. Before it was an unexpected situation, a very surprising situation, because in some way Joyce Mantilla and Jaime Maussan are able to very precisely catch the attention of the government of Peru, the Minister of Peru, after many years of having been able to transmit this issue to the world. When finally their when the Ministry of Culture arrives for a judicial purpose, that's the way they caught their attention of the world. Here we will have for a few minutes Mr. Jaime Maussan. Well, yes, it's very to be lamented, all that has happened, which comes to illustrate that with which we are facing. We are facing these authorities, and this is why we have started a lawsuit for $300 million, because what they're really trying to do is to impede a transcendental discovery such as this. They're trying to impede this discovery to be known all over the world. We have already invited here very important Dr. John McDowell, who recently received a medal, the Grafford Medal, which is considered the Nobel in forensic sciences, because he's one of the top scientists in the world. In this field, he came with Dr. William Rodriguez, the Director of Anthropology of the State of Maryland, and also by Dr. Jim Caruso. Jim Caruso is Director of the Forensic Sciences Institute of the City of Denver. They are three qualified, highly qualified experts, and I hope that briefly, soon, they will be able to present some preliminary results of this extraordinary investigation that we are performing. For this reason, I want to continue by showing the finding of the new bodies that we have been able to research. some of the new bodies in the last.
All right, so we just said Joyce. Now we got Mr. Masson, and they're going to show us some new bodies. You know, guys, I've heard numbers of hundreds or thousands of bodies.
The body that was researched by the Ministry of Culture, the one on the left. That body, it's an assembled body. And we knew it from the very beginning, and the Ministry of Culture never presented where it was found. Never did carbon-14, DNA, but we did. The body on the right has eggs. The one on the left is assembled. Look at the enormous differences between both bodies. The one is assembled and the other is not. And this is why we are doing this lawsuit, because one cannot compare one body with the other. This is a head. This is the false head. These are false evidence. This is what is false.
Honestly, I wouldn't give any of the false crap any more time or
bodies
talk.
that were researched by the forensic scientists from the Minister of the Public Ministry, Flavio Estrada. And these are the bodies that were confiscated by the Ministry of Culture at the Peruvian airport, national airport in Callao, Jorge Chávez Airport. As you can see now, that's the letter. One moment, please. One moment, please. We're going to listen after 4 years. We are going to listen to the conclusions arrived after 4 years of research by the University of Ica. Finally, as a result of our investigations, the investigation team arrived at the conclusion that the desiccated bodies are completely authentic from a biological perspective and do not have signs of having been manipulated.
Coconut shrimp, camarones jugosos y crujientes. De regreso a Pollo Tropical.
Our scientific focus has been careful, and the results
What? I just had a Pollo Tropical ad?
11 signatures of 11 professors from the University of Ica. Here is Dr. Roger Zúñiga, anthropologist, the coordinator of this research, also Dr. Hernandez, and they will soon confirm. Also in Mexico, some live investigations, analysis tests were conducted, and with scientists that had never been in contact with these bodies, and they came to the conclusion that these were legitimate bodies, not assembled bodies. So this was also done in Mexico. And therefore, I repeat, if these bodies are false, then why did the Minister of Culture arrive here to Peru? They know that the bodies, I think that in their conscience, they know that these bodies are genuine, and what they probably want is to make them disappear. Maybe they came here to make them disappear. These are some of the tests conducted live. That's the hand of Dr. Salze. You can find that information in YouTube. That's the information about the DNA in this page. Of course,
DNA is available. National database.
Continuity that has the custody of the clear custody of the samples may be an issue. This was sent to the Minister of Culture on January the 11th, 2017, on the part of Institute Incari, led by Thierry Jamin, and they are informing here the Ministry of Culture, please get involved. Upon not receiving any response, we sent a letter. We also sent a letter to the President of Peru, the President of Peru, the President Pedro Pablo Kuczynski on July of 2017. Once again, the letter was received, but there was no response, no reply. Then there was this letter of the mission of
mandó esa carta a la
UNESCO.
para
UNESCO sent
tratar
a
de atraer
letter
su atención.
in order to
Nosotros
call
visitamos el Ministerio
attention
de Cultura en el
of the Peruvian
2017.
government. We visited
Tratamos
the
de interesarlos a ellos para que
Ministry
se
of Culture in
involucraran, algo que hasta el
2017
día de hoy
personally and tried to
empezaron a
get their
hacer.
attention regarding
Aquí es, yo
this
fui
issue
y,
for them to
pues,
get
no me
involved,
quisieron recibir.
but they did not
Estuve
want
insistiendo.
to
Yo
receive
estuve
me.
ahí,
I
no,
was
ellos
there.
vinieron a mí, no, yo fui a
I
ellos.
was there. It's not that
mandaron
they
a un
came to me.
funcionario
I
de
went there
ínfima
personally,
jerarquía
and they sent me an
para
employee of
decirme que
lower
mandaron
echelon,
correo electrónico que algún día me lo
employee,
responderían.
but
Esto
telling
ocurrió en
me
el
that they would not
2023. Fui
have the
con mi
moment.
abogado, el doctor
I went with my attorney,
Arcángel Berrocal.
Rafael Arcángel Berrocal Ramos, my
Y
attorney,
nosotros
and we
pues presentamos nuevamente
presented there
una solicitud
once
para
again
poder hablar
a
de
request
esto
in
y
order
poder
to be
negociar
able
con
to
ellos
speak about
la
this
investigación.
with them and continue
Estos son algunos de los cuerpos que
to
están
reinforce the research, to continue with the research. This is a body that we're watching now. It's called Alberto.
todavía tienen que ser investigados, todavía
Alberto
tienen
is
que
being
ser
investigated, researched.
llevados a universidades de
Of
más
course,
alto
they
nivel.
have to be taken to
Una de
even
las
higher
solicitudes
level
que vamos a
universities.
realizar al Congreso,
Um,
al Ministerio de Cultura del país, al gobierno,
This is something that we are
es poder,
requesting the Ministry of Culture
llevar estos cuerpos
to
a
be able
instituciones del más alto
to,
nivel
so that they allow us to
otros
take these
países.
bodies to a higher level institution, educational institution, with the proper
Este es Alberto.
equipment, etc. This is Alberto. Now you're watching Alberto.
Son muchos los cuerpos.
There are
al menos
many
100
bodies
cuerpos,
found. There are at
100
least
cuerpos
100
que fueron
bodies
encontrados en este extraordinario
found in this extraordinary
100 at least. There's been talks
about
of more.
100 bodies and 7
100.
different species. This is now we are seeing Josefina.
They're saying
We discovered
species,
that
but they're
these beings have
maybe
eggs in
subspecies
their insides.
and hybrids.
Eggs that are surrounded by capillary network.
han tratado de decir. Y tampoco es la
How can that? This cannot be the head of the skull of a llama, as many try to say.
Yeah, we got to get away from all
This has
the llama
still
talk.
have to be validated again by science.
Yeah, it'll face
These are
scrutiny.
different radiographies, X-rays, tomographies. Also, the University of St. Petersburg in Russia declared them to be authentic. And this creature has a metallic implant made of osmium, or part of it inside is made of osmium, which is a very rare metal.
Osmium gets its name from its horrible smell,
Rarer than platinum. It was
something
discovered
akin
only
to
200
sulfur
years ago.
smelling.
But this body is 1,000 years old, perhaps. Then Maria is a humanoid type being, and until today we have not been able to find any signs of having been mutilated by the fingers or any part of the body
Right.
in any way.
Since it's human
The
sized, it was
bodies
accused
are
of having the
authentic.
digits removed. That's a natural tridactyl humanoid being. And I say humanoid because clearly it has human
Yes,
elements.
she's very similar to us, human beings. This is why we consider that they are humanoid. A humanoid is a body, non-human body that is characteristic,
Child,
that has human
possibly?
characteristics. This is Santiago now, a body that we were barely being able to recuperate in the month of January, February. January. It may have, there may have been some sort of a violence or aggressiveness trying to avoid us from presenting these new findings. Who knows? Maybe they were trying to take them away in order to disappear them, but they could not. Here you see his eyes are oblique, the head is very big, which are evidences that do not confirm that this is a humanoid being. However, there also is no evidence, and I have to be very clear about this, that the tests performed on this show that there are differences with human beings. In other words, it could be a conversion type of evolution? That's a question. Could it be that different species evolve in similar way, but keep similarities and differences? Could it be? Is this a possibility of convergent evolution?
No.
Personally, I'm not a scientist, I'm a reporter, but I think that that's probable. And here are
Hybridization.
the analysis through tomographies, details that will have to be analyzed, I hope, in universities of the highest level on a world
Fingerprints.
stage. And these are the fingerprints that we found on Santiago, which look horizontal, they are completely horizontal, not like the human beings. These are extraordinary images that we were able to get yesterday. We got the interior of the teeth area, the mouth area, and there's much to research still. Here, nothing has been found, no trace, neither in hands or feet, of having been cut or added fingers. No trace of that. Everything suggests that this is a completely real event. In other words, authentic bodies. And now, this is Sebastian, another of the bodies. It is considered to be a child of 4 years old, maybe 6. If you compare them to the knowledge that we have about human beings, it could be about 4 and 6 years old, or between 12 and 14 years regarding. It's also a tridactyl being, and using microscopes yesterday, well, here you can see what seem to be eyelashes. What you are watching right now are fibers. In other words, the eyes were sewn together. These are fibers. How come about 1,000 years ago? And on the back of the neck, it has a plaque, a metal plaque with inscriptions, horizontal. Here, it's 4 phalanges in each finger. All of these, I hope, will be researched by scientists of the highest level. There are already important scientists like David Ruiz from Peru, scientists like José Salze from the highest level in Mexico, scientists like Roger Zuniga, professor of the University of Ica, San Luis Gonzaga, that have confirmed their authenticity. And now I will present you a new being that we only received a few days ago. Also a tridactyl being very similar to Montserrat. This would be a type of being of an adult young woman of perhaps between 16 and 20 years of age, with an extraordinary surprise. And this is the definitive proof. This female was pregnant. How can one make a trick of something like this? Dr. Salze will try to demonstrate, but it's very difficult. That the being in her interior, it's a tridactyl. These are its fingers. These are not anomalies because the fingers seem to be functional. This is the size of the discovery. This is the great treasure of Peru. The great treasure of Peru. A treasure that perhaps undue interests want to occult, hide. Why do they want to hide this? What do they fear? Why not allow the research to go on? We will request, we will be able to reconcile this millionaire demand lawsuit on Peru, and one of our requests will be to allow us to take these bodies to other countries in order to perform research. As you can see, it has like like a gold implant on the head, something extraordinary. Yesterday we saw it under a microscope. The skin was already attaching itself, covering the border of this implant. Here is this being. It has a large head. It is not a definitive finding. It requires more investigation. That's the interior of this being. This is the interior of Montserrat. We have named her Montserrat Sol because Montserrat Sol, the Virgin of Montserrat, has this sun-like figure in Spain. Here we find this little specimen we're calling Raphael. Extraordinary, unique images of a being that was pregnant, and I don't know if she died due to the pregnancy, according to some scientific commentaries. Perhaps the embryo was crisscrossed inside the belly, and this could have been a problem to the mother. We do not know, but this is a very dramatic story of a mother that has her hands crossed over the belly, almost as protecting her fetus, and this is how she died. And this is how what seems to be the tridactyle characteristics of the baby as well. Thus far, the image is not as clear. Here you have the three-dimensional being inside the belly. You have this baby inside the belly. This is the definitive proof that we are talking about. If these beings are tridactyl and this is demonstrated, and this female was pregnant, it will imply that we would have a legitimate extraordinary discovery if the baby was also tridactyl. This is the first time that we are showing these extraordinary images. Apparently, one of the little legs of Raphael, the embryo, was twisted, perhaps due to the pass of time and the desiccation.
In the eggs, so I don't know if that's related. I believe the beings go through a metamorphosis with depictions of intermediary polywog-like specimens in the past. For me, it's hard to make out what we're looking at.
Here you can see the details.
I see a face,
that an expert as
but
Dr.
I see faces in everything, especially nowadays with all this tridactyl shit.
Better than I.
Everything has a face. Okay. Well, we got Raphael.
Okay.
And we got Masson. Exciting times.
That was the presentation of Mr. Jaime Maussan, presenting the tridactyl beings and these last bodies that were shown, that were found in caves in Nazca and Palpa. Sirs, continuing with this program, we have the participation of Dr. Roger Zúñiga, the coordinator of investigations of the tridactyl bodies in the San Luis Gonzaga University of Ica. I ask you for Applauses, please.
All right, who's this guy?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I want to say that I lament profoundly what happened today. I believe that this is an attack against culture, against knowledge and science, above all, liberty, freedom of expression. I ask forgiveness to those scientists that have come from abroad, from other countries, to contribute with knowledge regarding this discovery. I'm mortified because of that. An institution that has the obligation of getting involved in research in order to reach in good terms to scientific result, the first thing they do is to block it. Those of us that are in this research suffer this kind of attitudes that have taken us also to the judiciary conflict. They initiated like a lawsuit against us professors at the university just to be willing to research this, but being in a country with so much corruption, with so much ethical, moral problems, authorities are capable of starting false accusations to not just to stop us, but to stop this knowledge for science. I am very affected. I'm disillusioned of what's going on in my country. This is why I have a deep thankfulness in this opportunity that we have to travel to a brother country that has embraced us with much kindness to hear what we have to say, what we have researched, and to give our real, genuine opinion about this situation. In this event, it was on the second public audience taking care in Mexico, public audience in the Congress. We could share the official pronouncement of 11 professors of our university. We shared the conclusions that we have arrived at, even with the limitations that we have, lacking technological equipment, etc. We continue moving forward. They are not going to intimidate us. They are not going to inhibit us, because science has to impose itself against the old-fashioned knowledge that is no longer viable. Science is moving forward, and all humans have the right to open our minds and get to know reality. Is that what they want to hide? Is this what they want to hide? They want to hide the sun with a finger forever? There is an avalanche of information coming out regarding this case, and they will not be able to stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, organizers of this scientific event, ladies and gentlemen, reporters, nation and international reporters, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very grateful to direct my word to this select public, to this regarding our pterodactyl bodies research in the San Luis Gonzaga University. I represent also those authorities that were supporting us, and I'm very thankful. I must inform to the world regarding these scientific discoveries and the results of the tridactyl bodies, the desiccated tridactyl bodies found in the Palpa, Nazca, Department of Ica region. These findings. Regarding our research in the university, we began in the months of September and October of 2019 with Guaguita, Victoria, Maria, Luis, which correspond to specimens with humanoid reptilian characteristics. As any other research, we continue advancing, moving forward, and found that those that started the studies were few. We were willing, we had the courage to try to the research. My profound respect and recognition to all the people and institutions that prefer to know the truth in spite of the difficulties. My recognitions and greetings to Thierry Jamin, to Jaime Maussan, that has always been working with this, to Joyce Mantilla, Dr. Salze Benítez, Martín Achirica, José de la Cruz Ríos, and other persons, and to the members of the research of my university, the UNICA, Hernández, and all others. They were the first to begin this study. Institutions called to find out the truth about mysteries such as these bodies. But these others ridicule, they recurs to ridicule, bribery, and other means that should not happen. I don't know what they will do with this shameful act. Probably to hold false testimony about what happened. But here, the international and national press has seen what is happening. The 5 specimens that we had at the university began to generate controversies, especially at the world level. The results that were obtained, that were shared in the hearings of the Congress in Mexico in 2023 in September, we can say with certainty that the results of these new specimens, as the ones that we're going to show today, talking about Santiago, Sebastián, Montserrat, will break all known logic of common scientific knowledge about the existence of different kinds of living beings on the earth, regarding their body structure and anatomic structure. As it was said before, there were only few persons initiating this study. Now we are happy to see that there are many important scientists joining the research that give guarantee and solidity to the importance of this scientific endeavor and searching for new scientific knowledge that can revolutionize understanding of humanity and science. This is like a dialectical jump to a new position in the world, of something new and revolutionary. Would be coming to the world. What is being exposed today is the irrefutable evidence that we were never alone. Although these beings are different from us, this event initiates the beginning of a new era of knowledge in Peru and the world that will deepen the change of knowledge from archaic and anachronic to a new scientific understanding of man and a new mythical, metaphysical, and scientific knowledge that will generate deep changes in our way of seeing the world, understanding the world. Today, this study doesn't end. There are many aspects, many more aspects to study. This is why we request the participation of many more scientists in the world, of professional schools, of businesses, of Peru and the world. All institutions of goodwill for this, because we have the right to know. I greet today Manuel Fuentes Robles, Dean of the Anthropologists in Peru, and for his participation in this profession, and also the different schools, professional schools, with different specialists that will favor even more this event. I thank them all. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, these were the words of Mr. Zúñiga, Professor Zúñiga, coordinator of the research in the University of Ica. Before continuing with this program, we want, first of all, ask forgiveness for the events that happened during this lamentable situation of intervention that happened before of the Public Ministry and the Ministry of Culture in this press conference that has caused some disappointment, perhaps. But the important thing is the research favored by Mantilla and Maussan. So we can pay attention. We need to pay attention with this very important discovery for humanity. So, my friends, at this point, we will have the participation of Dr. John McDowell, a famous awarded forensic scientist in odontologist, forensic odontologist. Due to he's been awarded due to his experimental procedures. He has also been awarded by the American Academy of Forensic Sciences, and this award can only be given to individuals that have made great advances in forensic sciences. As mentioned before, it is almost as receiving the Nobel Prize, but in forensic sciences. So here with us, we give the most cordial welcome to Mr. John McDowell. Thank you. We want to communicate that we have a new translation team that will translate what Mr. McDowell is going to express.
Para quienes desean escuchar la traducción de nuestro expositor. Adelante, doctor McDowell. Gracias.
Good morning. Buenos dias. My Spanish is no bueno. I apologize. Professor Doctor, you owe me no apology.
No, mi español no es muy bueno.
All you have to do is look at the British House of Commons or many other congresses or organizations around the world, and you see that
alrededor del
similar
mundo
events occur.
Ocurren eventos similares.
This is not a reflection on
Esto
the
no
people
refleja
or the
a la
government of
gente
Peru.
o al gobierno de Perú en
Things
sí.
like this
Estas
happen,
cosas así
and I'm not
suceden.
disturbed by it.
Y no
I've been president
It's
of
time to
many,
switch your
international,
headphones.
Organizations.
So I got
I've also,
the way they're doing it is English on one channel and Spanish on the
faculty
other.
council
So
meetings and
you
other
can do
types
that.
of meetings with
Pull out
faculty.
one, put in the other.
And when the stakes are high, people become very involved. And sometimes we, including myself, sometimes we overreact. And so, again, I am not offended. So I do want to thank many people for allowing me the opportunity to be here today and to organize a small team of people who I greatly respect and have had friendships and professional relationships with for many years. I know that their integrity is unquestioned. Their credibility is at the highest levels, and we would not be here if we expected anything to happen that would affect our credibility. The members of the team that I came here with, who are co-equals with me, they have merely asked me to speak on their behalf. But the other members are Dr. James Caruso, who you heard about, is a forensic pathologist, Chief Medical Examiner of the City and County of Denver, Colorado. His long-standing curriculum vitae, his resume is among the best you could ever find. Now, the same is true of our other colleague, Dr. William Rodriguez. He's a forensic anthropologist and has been associated with a number of different organizations, including the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology in the United States, and also the State Department has done missions for the Department of Defense and the State Department, as has Dr. Caruso. So you have the highest quality individuals who have been invited to come here. And I want to thank Jaime Musan for helping us to get here. But let me assure you that none of us, Dr. Caruso, Dr. Rodriguez, myself, have received any kind of financial remuneration for being here. We are volunteering our time because we believe that this is a very important investigation. It should not be minimized or trivialized. The people involved here are doing their best in a scientific inquiry to find out if we can identify what's going on. I am not calling into question the motives of the government of Peru or anyone associated with the government or universities. But remember that universities, the purpose of a university is to do scientific inquiry. And if that is taken away from us or diminished in any way, then we all lose. But that said, and I'm sorry if I rambled just a little bit, but I do want you to know that I often speak from my heart, and sometimes I'm not totally clear in what I mean. I do have a small short script here today that I will refer to, and it will be very short. I think that's appropriate to the time that we are in this investigation, the point that we are. So, if I may, and I'm old, so I need glasses. I do want to thank the gracious hosts, especially the University of Ica. They could not have been more cordial and professional with us. Everything was made available to us that we requested. Nothing was hidden or kept occult. Everything was available to us. At no point did anyone say, no, you cannot look at that. Anything we asked to see, it was provided to us. Let me assure you that Mr. Musan has not interfered in any way or injected any of his own personal opinions or positions into what the doctors on our team are developing. In fact, he said at the outset, at the initiation of this, that he would not influence us in any way and did not expect a specific outcome. And if we just report what we find. Let me clarify too, any opinions that are expressed today, any comments that I make are strictly my own. The same is true of Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Caruso. They do not represent the opinions or position of our employers or of our organizations. So it's us.
Son nuestras opiniones.
Peru is a wonderful country. This is my first time here. My experiences have been very positive, and I can speak for my colleagues when they have spoken to me exactly the same way. The people, loving, open, very welcoming, and I appreciate that. And the same is true of the people we've associated with the universities or the personal people that we've worked with, including Dr. José Salze, who without his help, the progress of our investigation would not have proceeded as efficiently as it has. Now, that said, I want you to know that this is very initial examination that we have performed. We have no final opinions at this time, and that's one of the things that we're going to recommend. We respectfully request that the government and the Ministry of Culture allow further investigation unimpeded. And that, again, is the purpose of scientific inquiry, is to look at it, develop hypotheses. If the hypotheses do not work, we reject them. We move on to other hypotheses or explanations. I firmly believe, as do my colleagues and everyone that I've interacted with, that at every step of the examination process, we should, and I hope we have, paid appropriate respect to the cultural heritage of the Peruvian people and to the bodies themselves. We have done our best to respect the culture that we are perhaps not as familiar with as we would like to be. Further, we don't believe that scientists in the United States are any better than anybody else. Perhaps we have better facilities, and it might be a recommendation that if the bodies could be released to other facilities that have better equipment, have experts that would look at any evidence in an unbiased way. Also, we are willing to consult with the government or the Ministry of Culture to make recommendations of how to move forward with any identification procedures and to perform a proper forensic examination. Now, I have a phrase I use often. I say there are no emergencies in forensic science. We take time, we collect data, we analyze that data, we develop preliminary conclusions. I don't want to say conclusions, excuse me. Preliminary opinions that will lead us perhaps to a conclusion. Part of the forensic examination might be to determine whether any of the anomalies that have been identified are of ancient modifications or modern modifications. And with a proper forensic investigation, we would hope that we would be able to evaluate that. Presently, it is our opinion that what we have examined is worthy of additional scrutiny and study. We respectfully encourage the Peruvian Ministry of Culture to facilitate transfer of specimens to research facilities with the resources, equipment, and personnel to perform further examinations consistent with the highest forensic standards. That said, if the opportunity arises to work appropriately with the Ministry of Culture or any other Peruvian organization, I would welcome the opportunity to work with them. I also have another phrase, none of us are as smart as all of us. If we work together, enjoy each other's opinions, I think we move forward much more effectively. Also, at this point, I want to make sure that we have no definitive conclusions, and it would be premature for me to say so. As a matter of transparency and clarity, I want to be sure that everyone knows no restrictions were placed on our examination procedures, and we believe that everyone involved was open and forthright with us. The statements made by our scientific team are our own, and any statements made by others must not be construed to be our opinions. That's the conclusion of my formal remarks.
Esta es la conclusión de mi declaración.
Thank you, Dr. McDowell. Gracias, Dr. McDowell. Y prosiguiendo con este programa,
Dr. McDowell,
señores,
and changing to the
tenemos
continuing with the program we have, and at this point, the participation of Dr. David Ruiz. He's president of the Legal Medicine Society of Peru, member of the New York Academy of Sciences of the highest level. Thank you very much. Perhaps you don't know me. When I finished my medical preparation studies, I was 25 years after being graduated, and had the courage of doing a research work, and they gave me the first award, national award, back. And this allowed me to participate in many other things. My first invitation to the Academy of Sciences of New York was in 1994. It was a very interesting experience because I had many available books. At the time when there were no emails as we have now. 1984 it was. And then I became very much interested as a plastic surgeon, because from the beginning I always felt as an artist of structure, and these bodies are an art for me. And I went into this school in San Marcos University, and on the first position as a student, and also when I graduated, I was the first one, the first position in the general among all the other students. At that time, it was the most difficult university to go into. There was nothing else to say. And I had the privilege of studying with the best I had. There was. At that time, already terrorists, guerrilla fighters were captured, and there were several presidential counselors, because I had the opportunity to conduct forensic studies with the presidential counselors of this country. I took it as a good opportunity. The issue is that I was in a television program that they invited me to speak about another subject, but the producer asked me also to intervene regarding what we are presenting now here, regarding the scientific issue of these bodies. For me, I had already seen tomographies all of my life, and it was something so primary, so elemental, so easy. I've been watching tomographies 30 years. It's something that I do all the time. And I saw very clearly in these images that there was no manipulation. No manipulation. So I said, yes, of course, and I gave my opinion. And it seems that all the privilege that Dr. Zúñiga, who is present here, thank you very much, he directs the research team, which was called the desiccated bodies of Nazca. Now we call them the tridactyl bodies of Nazca palpa. He first communicated with me via a Zoom to talk, and I gave him all my opinions. And then I traveled to the city of Ica to see the bodies directly and participate. And I also traveled to Mexico and to share and to see the presentation over there. And now I am happy to recognize as past president of the Peruvian Society of Legal Medicine. It is an honor. This is not that somebody named me because of a public minister or as a public. This is the people that came here. They leave because they're paid by the state, but not me. I'm not a public servant regarding any of these. During all my tenure, I never allowed anyone to pay for my airplane trips or food or for any activity. I want to tell you that when I ended the study of medicine, they told me, my parents told me, why don't you go abroad? And I said, no, there's a lot to do here in Peru. And here we have an enormous privilege, and thanks to Dr. Zúñiga and Jaime and other colleagues, we know that there are many good things to do here in Peru that we can share with the world. And my opinion is that these bodies are not just from Peru, they are from the world. But I believe that they belong to the world. And this is my commitment, something that moves me to share. And of course, in social networks say, many people say, oh, you must be getting rich, you must be getting rich. You should be doing something else. No, I'm here out of love and to share all the wisdom that I will not take anywhere when I leave. I'm on the 6th decade of my life. And what I simply want is not to be formed by fear. I don't want us to be formed by fear. That instead of simply somebody listening to something like this, they should have stayed and learned about what is happening and then think about how they could collaborate. Talking about the ministries, they should have stayed to learn and then to collaborate. Of course, these things are expensive to us. But no, it's like they don't care. They just came for a little while and did their diligence, the legal diligence, and left. They should have stayed to learn. I have a friend that makes vaccines for coronavirus for all Latin America. And the ministry, Pilar Macetti back then was there. I don't know why she came, because she was a public employee, but she came and didn't show any interest. Like these people, they just come here, and what do? They just come, do not add anything new. They do not contribute.
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but I hope people are having fun watching this.
From the money
we do have a chat going,
Peruvians.
so you can interact with me. And
I'm
not sure about others. I guess you have to interact with them on the appropriate social media platforms. But I am able to respond to the platforms I am streaming to, so that's cool.
Of the forensic.
I didn't realize I'm on Discord. Is that what that is?
I'm recognizing John McDowell, former president of the Forensic Sciences Association in the United States.
Okay. It's that McDowell guy. We got to look into him.
Sorry very much for the bad moment we have.
I'm going to go ahead and mute.
Make you live because of these mediocre people. It is not the first time that I face this challenge. But one has to have the courage for certain things. One needs to have courage in order to work with the truth. And you and I, we have been always with the truth. Thank you very much. We give thanks to the participation from Dr. David Ruiz, the Society of Legal Medicine and Forensics, Legal Medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will listen to Dr. José Salze Benítez. Dr. José Salze Benítez. He is a Navy physician and director of the Forensic Sciences of the Navy Secretary in Mexico. Has been the research director of health sciences in the Navy of Mexico as well. We give him thanks and a round of applause, please. Good morning to all. A very brotherly embrace to all those people that have been able to make this possible. My special recognition is that Jaime Maussan and the professors of this Única University, Dr. Zúñiga, and also the invaluable presence of Dr. McDowell, a prominent man of science in forensic sciences, Dr. Rafael Berrocal as well. I will begin my comments saying that we have studied and analyzed through different techniques and technologies to diverse tridactyl bodies, desiccated bodies, being approximately more than 10 bodies and more than 20 separate loose pieces. Both those 60 centimeter ones and those are larger, which are more human-like. Out of these studies, we have been able to determine without a doubt that these are completely biological, organic, harmonious, and without artificial alterations or modifications. The more relevant moment and recent moment has been the confirmation that important scientific personalities with authority like Dr. McDowell, ex-president of the Forensic Sciences Institute of the U.S., and Dr. Rodriguez and others that are with him. Their observations coincide with mine and give its gravity and seriousness to this research regarding these humanoid tridactyl bodies. On this occasion, the more relevant body is that of Montserrat, of similar characteristics of those of Maria. Montserrat has been called the definitive proof, and this is due to the fact that in her abdominal exploration through X-rays and tomography with three-dimensional reconstruction tomographies, we have found that she is in a process of gestation in which we can observe a fetal body inside a gestational sac that we can, in which we can observe a tridactyl coincidence, and this makes this situation heterogeneous and makes the situation very unique. She would have been about 1 meter 60 centimeters with tridactyl feet and hands. On the feet we also can observe the presence of nails. In the abdomen, Montserrat's abdomen, we have been able to observe that there is a perfectly preserved fetal stage specimen. This fetal stage specimen was of a great relevance because in her hands we were able to find tridactylia. In a few moments we will be able to observe this tridactyl image where it is found, where the fetus is found and its particular characteristics. From Montserrat we can observe that she is very similar to what we know as a human being. However, her characteristics are unique that make her different, unique, and belonging to some species of tridactyl. If we can move forward towards the belly contained, the abdominal contained, please. Contents, please. Here we have, in her abdomen, on the left side, a fetal structure on the pelvis level, where we can observe on the upper part a cranium behind a vertebral column with ribs in the inferior part extremities, and close to the cranium, close to the skull, we find extended in a fetal towards the head the arm, the left arm. In this reconstruction, three-dimensional tomographies, we can see clearly the head and the spinal column. Could we return to the previous image first? Could we return to the previous image a little bit? There. Head, vertebral column, ribs.
I'm Javi, and I got Botox Cosmetic. There was a particular photograph. The lines were so prominent, it's all I saw. It made me feel like, okay, it was time to get Botox Cosmetic. I'm still Javi, but I just have fewer lines.
Talk to your doctor about Botox Cosmetic and whether it's...
We could see that there are very small bones and muscle tissue
Botox
broken inside the abdominal wall, and in the part that corresponds to the iliac crest, which is the hip of Montserrat's body, we can see that attached to it there is a fetal desiccated material that at first sight it's difficult to identify, but with the reconstruction, the three-dimensional reconstruction of the tomographies, we can detail with exactitude the presence of a fetal body of approximately 12 centimeters long. This, if it was human, it would be coincidental to a gestation of about 12 weeks. It would be a fetal product of about 4 months of gestation, if it were human. Can we please move forward to the end of the presentation? This study with endoscopy was done yesterday afternoon. Is there please a way to move forward the video even more. We are repeating the same image. Could we go to the end of the presentation, please? I'm sorry about these technical difficulties, but the image is being repeated over and over. Can we move to the end of the video, please, just to look at with clearly the fetal structure, which is at the end of the video. The technicians are working on this issue right now. Okay, this image, as soon as it ends rotating, could you please freeze it so we can give you an explanation? There. In the superior part, upper part, is the base of the cranium. All of this is the spinal column. All of this is the spinal cord. We can see the vertebral bodies one by one, and we can see the arms, and we can see the inferior extremities. And from the arms, let me point out what would correspond to the humerus, what would correspond to the forearm with radius and cubit, and here where the wrist or the carpal bones would be, there's a tridactyl shape, almost like a general bag or shape in the form of a hook. This is the origin of the second finger that looks like a hook, and the third finger also looking like a hook. I hope that we will be able to make this image clearer. This is the base of the cranium. I'm repeating, this is the vertebral column, complete with the presence of the vertebral bodies that can be clearly seen, arms, lower extremities, and the humerus, or corresponding the forearm with radius and cubit, or corresponding bones, the wrist or carpal articulation, and the fingers, three fingers coming out with the shape of a hook. I am saying that this is an important, relevant structure of a specimen of approximately 12 centimeters in length. It would be impossible to replicate, falsify, alter, mutilate, and build, construct as something falsely. This is 100% original, biological, organic, harmonious, and evident and irrefutable. Therefore, and lastly, it's important to point out the relevance and need to preserve these tridactyl humanoid bodies that, since they were extracted from in the point of finding, their degradation has started. The decay has started. So we need also to preserve them and to continue the studies academically, because we are before the opportunity of accepting the existence of a unique evolutionary chain to that different to what is known today by science. As I said before, on multiple occasions, my conclusions: these bodies are humanoid, similar among them, tridactyl, that deserve a place, a taxonomic place in Darwin's biological tree, evolutionary tree. We don't know their predecessors or descent. But here in Peru, we have different bodies in different stages, from those that are very babies like Santiago, juvenile, and now like Montserrat in a gestation with a body in a gestational period, an embryo. These can help us establish their physical similarities among them, perhaps recognizing them as part of a family with similar characteristics or phenotypes. And as a common and irrefutable datum, this information can tell us whether this is an alternate species to human beings or a completely different species. Therefore, we need more of this knowledge. To be clear, please stop negating. Remember that eyes do not see what the brain doesn't recognize. But you can allow knowledge to be the light of your understanding and allow the bodies to come out to the public for the light of knowledge in humanity. Let's work together of this very relevant case that could be one of the most important last paradigms that would add to one of the most important questions that humanity is making. And let's support more this investigation of the tridactyl, of humanoids. For God and for the nation, thank you very much to all of you. It was the participation of Dr. José Salze Benítez with all of you. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear the words of Dr. Zúñiga, coordinator. No, I'm sorry.
What do we got next? We got some, looks like some footses on the screen there. It's got a foot. Is it a footses? A feetses? Fetus foot? It's Montserrat. There's Rafael.
Now, we give the podium to Dr. Rafael Berrocal.
Dr. Rafael Berrocal.
Attorney, constitutional attorney.
Constitutional attorney. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
I know we have undergone a difficult moment that has created some emotional instability, but this is the heat of the moment and also things that happen in these endeavors. However, I must manifest that all of those that had anteceded me regarding the behavior of the public ministry and the Ministry of Culture. But I would like to call attention upon a completely illegal intervention that happened, which was very daring. Maybe they thought that they would find the bodies here to confiscate them, but in those only then they would have been able to confiscate this and do what they wanted to declare them null or negative and avoid the evidence. But only here we are transmitting live and putting on the table of the world, of humanity, the knowledge, the scientific knowledge, in order to recognize and enrich science in favor of the great good of humanity. If they want to come and confiscate and take and intervene illegally to do this, I think that they are completely wrong if they want to do this. Now, well, I'm going to summarize what happened in the Mexican Congress as what happened also in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. Today, I must also ratify in my country, and as well as in other countries, so all the countries in the world, that for these special cases, we need a constitutional reform so that these things that we saw today do not happen again. We need constitutional reforms. For that, we will need a judicial backing so that scientists that really want to demonstrate the truth, the new knowledge, the new findings, they will have to have complete support from the law. Unfortunately, there is not much legal support for this. They were coming to intervene legally against an alleged pre-Hispanic finding that is not even well defined by them. But here are the experts worried to make clear to the world what they are looking for. We are just looking for the truth. They are just looking for the truth. This is an emblematic case in our country and the world. Starting from the universal right of man, it's imperative in the world, the freedom towards knowledge and expression. They are trying to eliminate this with these actions. These are scientific investigations that go in favor of humanity. Well, we are in the middle of this investigation. Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and dozens of scientists I could quote had their time, and they were defamed in the past. They were humiliated in the past. They thought that they were crazy. However, a few decades later, or sometimes in the case of others, hundreds of years later, they were recognized due to their discoveries. We also base upon their efforts our discoveries, our science. This is similar, but here the courageous are separated from others. My dear friends from Peru and the world, and through this means of communication, it's important to say that the tridactyl bodies found here in Peru, specifically in the district of Palpa and Nazca in the Ica region, well, they represent a human responsibility, and this human responsibility, there is a citizen of Mexico. There are citizens of Mexico and citizens from Peru that have done the best to demonstrate before the world whether they are false or true within the space of what they might or might not be extraterrestrials. But we have some forms of evidence, DNA, carbon-14, that are showing for many years ago that at the same time they have enough empirical scientific science that some of their algorithms do not correspond to what is known in humanity, so to speak. So what we need is to deepen the investigation. This case has become viral in the world. The incompetence that at some time was demonstrated by the employees in the Ministry of Culture perjudicated one person, and not just one person, but also the scientific community itself. The declarations, obviously, of the employees of the Ministry of Culture denying or saying that these are assembled dolls, although they did not research the bodies, but carefully. And the bodies, the genuine ones, are in the process of investigation by the University of Ica. But they took crafts, they took crafted dolls in order to declare worldwide in a press conference that all of the bodies were false. Where? In the institution itself, in the name of the state, in a room that belonged to the state, they declared that all the bodies were false. Why? In order to commit a fraud in a way for 6 or more years. One even said that the reporter Joyce Mantilla was Mencia was a clown from Mr. Maussan. Where are we? Where can we see this? This is why Mr. Maussan is demanding the government of Peru. This research is based on fundamental issues. Here, constitutional norms, rights have been violated. In order not to make you more tired than you are, perhaps, for all the things that have been said before, a lawsuit, a preliminary extrajudicial process has been started in order to reach a conciliation with state employees, with the state itself, in order to reivindicate an indemnization demand due to emerging 5 million and 240 million due to a moral ethical damage, a totaling of 300 million, because the dignity of man does not have limits to be catalogued in a scale of value of how much human dignity costs. There are no limits. This is the dignity of man does not have a price. And Mr. Maussan is a person that is more prudent. And even though in the legal bodies of Peru, this legal action will allow to be able to sit and talk for conciliation, an agreement, and the different damages that have been incurred, the product of this indemnization is not, this resource is not going to leave Peru. Jaime Maussan said that this will be a resource for the construction of a scientific museum in Nazca, between Nazca and Palpa in the Ica region. This is where the funds are going to be used for. It is not in order to get rich. This is none is doing this in order to get rich. And also the scientific, this money will serve also to continue with the scientific observations and research. So we call attention to the authorities, ask them to please become part of this research, participate in this investigation. When the Ministry of Culture should be the first one representing the emblem of research regarding this issue, especially when we are dealing with a historical, universal situation. So upon ending this information, let's rescue these bodies so that they can also return to Peru. These bodies are in different parts of, some of these bodies are in different parts of the world, but they should return to Peru as well, so that they be known to the rest of the world from Peru. Private and scientific institutions. UNESCO itself was part of this request to the government of Peru. So we must all have the courage as men and women to participate in, as in my case, as an attorney, knowing the science and constitutional rights and penal rights, criminal rights. This is also our responsibility. I'm calling upon you that this is our responsibility to continue reaching the objective, to reach the truth. That's our main objective. Thank you very much for this. I'm sorry for the events that we saw here about the inappropriate conduct of the employees of the Ministry of Culture. We are the ones that are paying them. We are the ones that pay all these public functionaries, all these public employees. We are the ones paying them. We are the ones paying Congress. And they should be honorable, and their employees. their employers should be treated in a dignified manner. We are the employer, their employers, and therefore they must respect us. But since dignity and honorability in this country is being lost in our country, somebody has to have the courage to stand up and claim this dignity, so that the rights are not abused anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard the words of Dr. Rafael Ángel Berrocal, a constitutional lawyer and doctor in political science, attorney. Finally, we will give the podium to Mr. Jaime Maussan to give us the final conclusions of this press conference, and also Mr. Joyce Mantilla. Well, thank you very much for your patience. I just want to say that we are willing to reconcile with the government. Our response is the possibility of taking this body to the universities and institutions of the highest level that have the sufficient equipment and specialists to research them. I have asked Dr. John McDowell, if possible, please lead this investigation, since he is a scientist of the highest level at the world level. And therefore, I think that under his guidance, we can reach to the truth. Undoubtedly, he and other specialists will finally be able to determine, until we know, after being with them, after all, the bodies are legitimate. As far as we know, we are not seeing dolls assembled. We are not seeing assembled dolls. We did not find traces of them being altered. 3, the possibility of them being humanoid beings was considered. Therefore, perhaps convergent evolution as a possibility as well. In other words, we are in the beginning. We are not in the end of this research, and there's much to do before concluding. I believe that I believe that the steps that have to be taken will allow continue this case and take it to higher levels, to other levels. I'm not against the government of Peru, I'm not. I want to reconcile, because this belongs to the inhabitants of Palpa and Nazca and the world. This has to be preserved. These bodies are being damaged daily. If we do not preserve them, they are going to disappear. It is necessary to recuperate more than the 100 bodies of the original finding found in Peru and other parts of the world. Now they are in other parts of the world. And also perform all the necessary research to reach the conclusion. But we are not afraid. We are not going to stop. I want the Ministry of Culture to listen to us. Until now, they have not accomplished, they cannot follow their own role. They should have. Further research is going to demonstrate this. Thank you very much. Joyce Mantilla is also asking forgiveness to the public that has been following this special transmission all over the world. We have shown beautiful, marvelous, interesting samples. They're all tridactyl bodies like Montserrat. How did she die? Why was her last action? Did she try to preserve her body because of how she held her arms in the position that she is? As I said before, the public ministry employees and the Ministry of Culture interrupted this private event abruptly before that. About 20 persons that suddenly came and left, and the moment before, because they thought that we were going to show the mummies openly as a freak show or something, and this was not like that, of course. So I invite my colleagues once again, please, to add yourselves to this investigation. I know there are other issues, political issues, there's thievery, there are things, but in this case, the Public Ministry and the Ministry of Cultures, they want to interrupt. They're more occupied in interrupting important research. We will continue in different programs. Jaime and myself, Jaime and I, are going to continue providing this information. I have been following these issues for a long time because of the, and many of my colleagues did not come because there was a political crisis. We will always have a new political crisis or something distracting us. But for some time, you should be able to focus on what can also be transcendental and important beyond the current political corruption situation. This situation will last far way beyond our lifetimes and that of our grandsons. I coincide with Jaime. This doesn't scare us away. This gives us more courage. Paintings, in rocks, in petroglyphs, in tissue samples. They were painted. They painted their physiognomy, their anatomy. They tried to approach them in some way or other. So let's learn to live with this new reality. Thank you once again for coming to this transmission that has happened live in Peru and other parts of the world. Thank you, Jaime, for supporting this investigation all the way from Mexico. If it hadn't been with the support of Gaia TV and Jaime Maussan, Tercer Milenio, and Dr. McDowell and all the guests that we have.
It's a plug for Gaia TV, man. That's
Dr.
like
Rodriguez as well.
saying a plug for In Search of
like
or
them,
something.
People like David Ruiz, Dr. Salze,
Good for them.
Dr. Zúñiga, the people from the University of Engineering in Lima, and the University of Andina of Cusco that are also approaching this investigation. All of you, all of them have made this possible. This is the work more suitable for scientists than reporters. So many scientists, more than 45, 50 scientists have been working on this already separately, and they come from different places of the world. People have come from Japan, from France, from different parts of the world, and they come to renew their knowledge of a new extraordinary finding. So we are not crazy. We are not crazy.
We're not crazy.
This is a very real thing that has to be considered seriously. I thank you very much, Jaime, for this, for the support of this valuable patrimony of my country. Thank you very much for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, in the name of our organizers, Mr. Maussan and Joyce Mantilla, we thank all of you for coming here in this international press conference, where some of the studies, test researchers' results have been presented of these tridactyl beings from Nazca, Alpa. We invite you all to our coffee break in this Sheraton Hotel salon next to the Precursores room where we are now, in order to share among each other. Please, all of you, have a wonderful day.
Well, that was nice. I wish I was there for the tea and crumpets.
Does anybody want to
Oh, we got questions? That'd be nice. Yeah, that's a good idea. There's press there. Let's take questions.
We are beginning our press conference stage right now.
Okay, all right, good. We got a press conference.
They're requesting.
That's what we're calling this thing.
Question. To please come to the podium to ask question. With all the press, all the members of the press. Please, can you handle him or her microphone? Thank you.
All right. Are they going to have translations for this? I hope.
Brief. Would like to know what kind of level or meeting do you have with the authorities in the Ica region, in the Nazca, Palpa? Because we have been following this case from the beginning, basically, and you know that there are authorities that were supporting and were in agreement to work with you for this to be known, and they had a very important tourist. This would be a very important tourist step to create a museum in this area in Nazca, Palpa. This would be a great idea for the development of the area. So do you have any conversation with authorities in this area? Yes, we have had contacts with the mayor of Nazca, with the current mayor and the previous one. And there was a recent press conference also in which I was invited. Somebody else tried, the Ministry of Culture in Inca, they tried to boycott it. However, the mayor said no, that should not happen, and we had the conference. It was a small event in the municipal library, but once again somebody tried to block it. There are many things to talk about, for example, the security of the specimens. There isn't a direct participation yet, but there is interest. Promoting a conversation, promoting the cultural goods. They are interested. My name is Eduardo. Thank you very much for the invitation, in which I am very happy to be here. Two things I don't understand. First, they say that people say that they have eggs, and others they have gestational bellies. I'm not a specialist, but there seems to be a contradiction there. Some have eggs and others have embryos. I'm here as a friend. Please let me finish what I have to ask or say. Then we are also being told that they are not manipulated, and there is a metal. What is the point of connection with what we are talking about, with the Nazca iconography and with ceramics, in which there are beings that seem to have also 3 fingers? And are we also facing an evolutionary important event of different beings?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, according to some scientific opinions, the possibility that these beings had a different sensorial perception, different to ours, perhaps more refined, or did they have vocal cords and language, or perhaps something different? This could be some of the questions. I'm not here to disqualify your work, but only to find some answers. First of all, the first question, there are 7 species that we have identified, 7 different. The little beings, the small beings, where we surprisingly found eggs, and we think that they are further away from human beings. Some have metals that were collected, were placed on their bodies while they were still alive. And there have been also some modified that could have been modified to make them look as pterodactyls post-mortem, but we have not found that evidence of that manipulation. It's very obvious that experts will have to respond to this other question. I have been compiling information, plenty of evidence regarding this issue, not only from Peru, but not from Nazca, Paracas, Moche. These are other cultures in Peru, or the Wari culture, the Ica. And this iconography is not just found in Peru, but it's found all over the world, and from a very ancient era until soon before the Hispanics, pre-Hispanic era. And they are of the same era, these beings, but the representations are identical to those of reptilians, also those of humanoids, but more to reptilians. Why do people say that some beings have eggs and others have placentas? Well, we would be speaking of those that resemble more reptiles than humans. Those are oviparous. It's expected that they grew in the belly, and now today there are only very few beings with those characteristics. There's a Wari textile, a Wari culture textile that shows these specific characteristics. The opening, the egg opening is opening, and it's you can see the egg coming out in one of these iconographic representations. All of this has to be compared with the beings and the iconography all over the world. Please, all reporters, could you please give your name, where you're coming from, before the question? Yes, I'm Edgar Palomino from El Observador. I have several questions in one. First, we know that these beings are reptilians, could be reptilians, because of their endings, hands and feet. This could be one of the explanations. And also, for those that should know, why do you think the public ministry and the Ministry of Culture have abruptly interrupted this private exposition? And what legal actions are you going to take after this interruption? Good afternoon. Yes, good. The question has been very concise. What can we do? What are we going to do? Well, first we are going to wait. We're going to give the state the opportunity through their employees to come to the first legal action that we have initiated in favor of a conciliation in order to reach an agreement in good terms. I know that this has been an arbitrary intervention in which that cannot be justified positively again. It has been an interruption, a totally negative interruption that allows us to apply a judicial norm in which they can be punished, but not with a penal action, but with a civilian action or law. So this is the only way that we can help them find a better way of thinking regarding their activities, their action. Because an employee, a public functionary can commit an error. In the end, the higher up will have to assume the mistake. And this is why the president, the ministers must be persons that are specialists, true specialists in the work that they are performing, in order to avoid such terrible mistakes as happened here. So we're going to wait for these 20 days in which the conciliation is over, conciliation period, and then we will execute the formal demand or lawsuit. Good afternoon, I'm Brenda Vallejo, Lujo Detalles. I have heard that this project has taken place in different countries and different media outlets. Who is supporting you? Is there any government supporting you? What governments of the world have rejected you or helped you, and why? Why is this happening? Why would they be rejecting the support of these research? Regarding any government support, the only one that I've had has been the one in the Congress of Mexico that allowed me to present in a public hearing in the premises of the Congress two of these bodies that were taken to Mexico, not by me, but by another person. This is the only support that we have had. There's no support from any other government thus far. This is why, once again, we are requesting the government of Peru to support us in order to continue this investigation. If they came here with the intention of confiscating these bodies, then they are, in a way, recognizing their authenticity. So if we ask them to help us take this to other places where they have all the resources to continue with this research adequately. But there's a trap here. While the government doesn't legally open this possibility, no foreign government will initiate some form of official research. The universities of other places, if they don't have the authorization of the government of Peru, will not get involved. This is why it has been so difficult. In many parts, after we presented the bodies, why don't you take them to Oxford in England? Why don't you take them to Harvard? Why don't you take them to Colorado University? Because no institution or university or decent university institution will allow a research if this is not authorized by the Ministry of Culture of Peru and by the government of Peru. And it is the Ministry of Culture of Peru precisely that has opposed the greatest resistance. The day after it was presented, the first report was presented by Gaia Television. The archaeologists from Peru were saying that I had personally cut the fingers of the mummies, that I had personally created the mummies and this. For example, archaeologist Elsa Tomasto said that she would eat a live cockroach with mayonnaise if any of these cases are true. I'm not going to demand her to keep her promise. She should do it, but I'm not going to demand her to keep her promise. I'm not going to insist on that. We just want the government of Peru to authorize the research on these bodies so that other institutions come also to Ica, to the University of Ica. We have physical evidence, and that is the most important thing. It can be touched, it can be researched, it can be sampled. And if it's like that, we can reach the truth. Thank you. I also have an interesting thing to say, because if the government, if the President Dina Boluarte has received, maybe she doesn't know information because an intermediary, mid-level employee filters the information to her. Maybe she's not informed. The 3 letters telling her about this finding for the 7th year in a row. We were asking through these letters, or these letters were asking her to take charge of this situation, but her personnel, the personnel of the President of Peru, seemed to interdict or impede this information to reaching her. So we want the Public Defense Office to defend us and allow these letters to reach the proper authorities, the proper authority. We have the letters that have been returned. They are not interested in finding about this, and it seems like they're scared about this because this is physical evidence. This would change everything that we know about history, what archaeologists know, what many scientists think they know, or they opine from their homes or from wherever they are sitting down, and they do not do what scientists should do, which is what Dr. Caruso, Dr. McDowell, Dr. William Rodriguez, and others do. They have come all the way here to make an independent scientific assessment research in order to eventually reach a conclusion. But our government, Peru, is not doing its proper job. And unless they allow the bodies to be researched internationally, no other institutions are going to do it. Please, don't think, ladies and gentlemen, that the governments are going to tell the truth. What they do is to mount farces like those with the dolls that they did. Mi nombre es William Brown, soy de los Estados Unidos, del estado de Kansas. Soy un reportero independiente. Mi pregunta es para el doctor McDowell. Si nos podría explicar el proceso ideal que podría proveer una línea de tiempo de cómo podría hacerse esta investigación, que podría hacerse, cómo podría ser revisado por pares esta investigación también. Le pido que resuma su pregunta. Si podría resumir el proceso de revisión por pares de un caso así. Si les permitieran investigar los cuerpos, ¿cuál sería el proceso? O una línea de tiempo de cómo podría proceder esta investigación. Muy buena pregunta. Todo lo que hacemos en la ciencia esperamos que sea revisado por pares. Los medios de comunicación han publicado papeles y deben ser también revisados por pares. Lo importante es pares, la palabra pares, personas que están en el mismo nivel de conocimiento que el nuestro y pueden trabajar con estas hipótesis en la colección de datos, análisis de datos y evaluar las conclusiones que hemos llegado para que algo así sea revisado por pares, como si entendí tu pregunta bien. Primero hay que mostrar los hallazgos de forma pública para que puedan ser criticados abiertamente. El tiempo será el tiempo que tome. Creo que el doctor McDowell lo ha resumido bien. Y luego de algunos resultados preliminares, el de ADN, queremos llevar a más laboratorios, datarlos nuevamente con carbono, se tiene que repetir el dataje con el carbono 14. Y esos son el tipo de cosas que estamos buscando. Las investigadoras actuales son muy preliminares. La verdad es que se necesita más investigación. Se necesitan responder más preguntas para poder
Siguiente pregunta.
saber los siguientes pasos.
Let me do this question for him.
Tengo una pregunta para el doctor McDowell. ¿Usted estaría dispuesto a continuar con esta investigación? ¿Vale la pena esta investigación? Sí.
Okay, and you are willing to coordinate this
deseoso
investigation
coordinar esta investigación si es que
the agreement of the
tenemos
government
el
of Peru.
acuerdo del gobierno de Perú.
If asked, I and my colleagues
Si me
or other
preguntan a mí
individuals
y
could
mis
help
colegas
coordinate
y otros
this and
individuos
help it
que
move
yo
forward.
pueda coordinar esto
As I mentioned
y
earlier,
ayudar a
I'm
que
not
se
impugning
mueva.
the motives of the government of Peru or
Si no hubieran impedimentos
the Ministry
del
of
gobierno de
Culture,
Perú
that's
o del
not my
Ministerio de
objective. I don't want to
Perú,
create an environment
yo no
that's
quiero
divisive.
crear
We
un
wanna
ambiente de
collaborate.
división,
And so, I
sino un
will be
ambiente
glad
de
to work with
colaboración.
any reputable organization.
Entonces sí estaría
I agree. More research is needed. It should be done in a open and free environment with exchange of ideas. That's what science is.
investigaciones de forma abierta, intercambiando ideas abiertamente. Eso es lo que la ciencia es.
Just to reiterate, yes,
Reiterar,
it indeed requires more in-depth scientific studies in order to come to a conclusion, and it needs to be looked at by other scientists too to review whatever work, but we would certainly be willing to take the task on to continue this work at a very high level and in much more detail to make a determination as to what exactly we are looking at.
Siguiente,
Hola.
siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Sí, acá.
Volumen, sonido de micro,
Hola,
por
hola.
favor.
Hola, ¿se escucha?
Hola, 1, 2. Adelante, por favor.
Muy buenas tardes con todos. Mi nombre es Edwin Cabello, soy periodista del portal de investigación Lima Gris. Y lo que quería mencionar primero es un recuerdo del episodio que pasó hoy con la intervención de la Fiscalía y la Policía. Cuando se descubre las tumbas del señor de Zipán, asesinan a una persona, que es Ernil Bernal, el verdadero descubridor, un huaqueño.
Sipan
ese asesinato,
Lord
porque
was
le
discovered
dispararon a
an
una
archaeological
corta
find in
distancia
the north of
y murió
Peru.
desangrado,
Also, the founder,
se empezó
the
a hablar y a
finder, the
tejer
person that found
muchas
this
historias.
Lord of
Pero
Sipan was
lamentablemente
killed.
nunca se encontró justicia, su familia no
And
encontró
there was
justicia.
his family
A lo
never
que voy es
found
que
justice
lo que está pasando
about
actualmente
this.
me parece también
What
que de alguna
is
manera
happening
el
today,
gobierno peruano mediante el
also
Ministerio de Cultura
the
lo que quiere
Peruvian
es negar
government,
lo hallado por
according
unos
to my
arqueólogos,
opinion,
no por
is that
los
what
arqueólogos
the
o
Ministry of Culture wants to do is to
En ese
negate what
sentido, quisiera que pueda
huaqueros
dar,
or
señor
tomb
Gonzalo, un mensaje
finders,
a la
robbers
actual ministra de Cultura,
found,
Leslie González.
rather than them. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, in my opinion.
Bueno, por una
Well,
parte es
yes,
desafortunado que haya
on the
sido
one
encontrado
hand,
por
it's
huaqueros.
unfortunately that it was found by
En este
huaqueros or
caso, creo que el señor
persons
Leandro
that are tomb
estaba
raiders,
buscando oro,
raiders.
estaba buscando
But in this
metales,
case, I think that Mr. Leandro was
encontró
just seeking for
a
gold,
estos seres.
and he
Por
found
ese lado es
these
desafortunado porque
beings
si
by
hubiera sido
chance.
algún arqueólogo, quizá estaríamos ya en otro nivel.
It would have been
Sin
unfortunate
embargo,
because
es
if an
afortunado
archaeologist had
porque si
found
no lo
this, we
hubiera
would
hecho,
already
tampoco
be
estaríamos aquí.
moving forward in another
Entonces,
level.
Creo que
So I believe
debemos de superar
that
ese
we must
momento,
overcome that
debemos de
moment. We must
reconciliarnos
reconcile
con
between
los
ourselves, among
científicos,
ourselves,
arqueólogos, antropólogos
and
de Perú.
with
Quisiéramos que
archaeologists
ellos
and scientists
tomaran
in
en sus
Peru.
manos,
We would like
condujeran
them
esta
to take
investigación.
this
Esto no
case
corresponde a
into
nosotros
their
los
hands.
periodistas. Esto
The
corresponde a los
scientists of
científicos.
Peru. This doesn't belong to
Creo que lo que
reporters.
se
This
debe hacer.
belongs to scientists.
Entonces, pues,
And hopefully we will be able to reconcile due to the gravity and importance of this discovery. Please. It could be one of the most important findings in the history of humanity. How could it be that Peruvians themselves want to destroy a treasure? It's their treasure. Just think on it, what it means for your country, what this could give to the inhabitants of Palpa and Nazca. Why deny this? Due to ego? Why for reason, jealousy, banal reasons? Why? This belongs to Peru. As Attorney Berrocal said, you are the ones paying those public employees, and they owe to you. And therefore this discord should be overcome, and some kind of agreement should be reached in order to work with the international team of scientists. They want to know, they're intrigued, they do not want to reach conclusions too fast, too soon. We understand that. The research was too short for now, but they're willing to continue. So there must be something valuable to research here, that the bodies are worth studying. If they had not found something agreeable to them, I'm sure that they would not even be here. But they have seen that there's the basis to continue the research, and it's worth it. We must study. It is correct. And I believe that we must begin to reconcile ourselves with science. I'm open with the government of Peru. What I want is to reach a common good, and also for the good and with the good of the inhabitants of Nazca and Palpa. Isn't this worthy? It is. We need to find answers of all these mysteries of the past. If we consider for one moment that these beings were very intelligent and they were responsible of some of the most important developments that remain still in mystery, for example, the aqueducts in Nazca, and other things beyond the geoglyphs and figures in Nazca, there are extraordinary things. Who made them? And then all of a sudden, these bodies appeared in that area. Come on. This is a very important thing that should elicit lots of curiosity in us. So I'm making a call to Peruvians to defend that which is theirs and not allow the Ministry of Culture of Peru, which is manipulated by interests outside of science, don't allow them to capture these bodies and destroy them. Because this is why they came. They came to take them away. They came to take them away, to cut them in pieces, like they did the dolls, like they did this, with this replica, with these dolls that were assembled. Here is, even among us, is the artisan that built the replicas, the dolls, and he even called the Ministry of Culture they confiscated these dolls and told them
to be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find a platform that did that other than Wix.
But the ministry presented the scientists and said, oh, therefore we have these, and therefore all of the mummies are fake. That cannot be. That is wrong. My name is Jonathan Sonko. I'm from America Television. This is a personal question for Mr. Maussan and Mantilla. A moment ago, Mr. Mantilla said that for these discoveries to be taken advantage in the best way possible, they would have to be taken to international universities abroad, to the best universities abroad. My question is about the following. If we know that the Peruvian state, the Ministry of Culture, is just blocking this research and making it difficult, if they are doing that since the beginning, most probably it's because for some weird criteria they don't want to allow this to become known. So what would be the next steps, the rightful steps to do if we know that we are swimming against the ocean, the stream, what can be done differently if they're blocking this? What proceeds is what we are doing. There is a demand. This demand, this lawsuit has to be answered. I know that I'm certain that there's going to be a conciliatory process, and in this process, one of the conditions is to continue with the research. This is the process, to recuperate all the bodies that are in any part of the world. How? With the participation of the person that discovered them, who knows where many bodies are. Also, research to ask the government of Peru to recognize that they made a mistake, that the bodies that they were researching were not the genuine ones, not the original ones. And to do this, open the borders of Peru so that they can be researched in other places and return to Peru. And if the scientists on an international level decide that these are new species, non-human, that they may be from another place, from the cosmos, or whatever they are, we will have a true answer. And then we must also protect these bodies, avoid them from being damaged by the environment. They must be placed in special containers with a proper climatization. Then we must a high-level museum will be used in the benefit of Peru, of its inhabitants, creating a high-level modern museum. This is what proceeds. This is what we want. So we're very thankful here to Dr. John McDowell, Jim Caruso, and Dr. William Rodriguez, which are of the highest levels. Their careers are filled with recognitions and awards. Dr. McDowell just received the highest available award in forensic sciences, and he's here with us. He's here with us. He's interested in this. So people from the Ministry of Culture should want to be here and listen to him. For the time being, maybe they will not say much. The scientists came here to Peru because they only researched this for a couple of days. But the seed of curiosity was planted in them, and they want to know more. For me, that is enough. For me, that means that this journey to Peru was a success. For me, this was a success. We are not going to weaken. We are going to continue, and with the help of Attorney Rafael Berrocal, we are going to continue on this. Hopefully, not long a time will take. We're going to sensibilize what the authorities have in their hands. Maybe they don't even know. Maybe they're not even informed truthfully about what is happening. Thank you, Jaime. And truly, I coincide with Jaime. They do not realize what we have here. The eye doesn't see what the mind doesn't know. And this applies to this case. It's like they don't have the capacity to see the great importance of this finding. It can be considered in a very short period of time one of the most important historical findings that already happened in Peru, already happened in Nazca, an enigmatic, emblematic region in Peru. Whether our scientists came here or not, the finding was here in Peru, in this emblematic region of the Nazca culture. And besides, something came out of the ground of the Nazca Palpa culture, coming like this as a gift for them and the world. They should recognize it. Good afternoon. I'm also part of a Japanese press. My name is Ipei Tanaka. I know that this is within studies process, a process of studies. But what humanoids, though, do those humanoid beings have with the pre-Hispanic, pre-Inca beings, the Nazca people? As a hypothesis, is there a probability? Were they rivals? Or were they friends, where they had a friendly relation? And who came into this tomb where the mummies were found? We spoke very little about the iconography, but we have the theory, a working theory, that of course anthropologists should be here, and this is why the dean of the anthropologists in Peru is here with us. We have the theory, the hypothesis that they live together with this species, that they adored them, that they are registered in art, iconography. You do not record your enemies, you record, you draw those beings that you admire, like we do with coins and bills. We put our heroes there to remember them. So we think that at least they lived together for at least for about 1,100 years, because Maria, who is in the University of Ica, has from 1800 to 2000 years, and the most recent one is about 750, 850 years old. So this seems that to point to the fact that they lived with the ancient Nazca people for a long time, longer than the Moors lived in Spain. The question is, how did they live? Why were they buried there? Why did they die? What happened to this woman that was pregnant? She was a youngster. She had like an emblem of gold on her forehead. Why? Why would that be? Why the other one has a metal with letters or something like that in the back of the neck? What was the interaction among them? Why all of them were tridactyls? All of them, all the 7 species were tridactyl. Did they come together? Why is there no before evolutionarily wise? Did they appear suddenly? Why don't they have any? Do they have any descendants? Is this a convergent evolution? Or what? This is a fascinating field if we know how to exploit it. From the finding of the bodies, what comes next is continue decade after decade, perhaps hundreds of years, to continue discovering what happened and how they are related with us and with the Pumapunco ruins or Tiahuanacu or the other ruins that are very mysterious of Sacsayhuaman in Cusco, the Nazca lines. What is the relationship with so many things? A mental space opens up. It's a big possibility for the growth of humanity, of understanding. This is why we are involved. This is why we do not want to concede, even if institutions are trying to scare us. No matter what they do, we are going to continue until the end. We promise this to you, and we are going to make it. And hopefully until the end, the only winner for this event will be the truth, hopefully, and also for our children, we will find the truth.